Over the past 2 years, lumber futures have been on a roller coaster. And at its height, the National Association of Builders estimated that high lumber prices increased the cost of building a new home by over $36,000. So now that lumber prices have crashed and are sitting at pre-COVID levels, does that mean that home prices will also drop by that $36,000? Stick around and I'll tell you. Now, before we get too far into this video, let me just answer the question that I asked earlier. So now that lumber prices have crashed, does that mean that home prices will also drop by that $36,000? No, the answer is no. Now, before you click away, let's just talk about the really interesting part, which is the why. Why will home prices stay high even though the cost of some materials has dropped dramatically? As we all know, home prices are at an all-time high. There's a lot of reasons for it, but basically it's a matter of supply and demand. There were more people wanting to buy homes than there were homes on the market. Low interest rates also made it easier for people to buy homes, and that has been going on for a while until just recently. A lot of that demand has eased now due to higher interest rates, but prices really haven't come down at all in most places. Now, I have heard people say that the rates today really aren't that bad. In fact, my own parents bought their first home at something like a 16% interest rate, and I've even heard of much higher rates. Here's the difference though. The gap between average household incomes and average home prices is larger than ever before at over 6 times. That means that the average home costs 6 times more than the average yearly salary. It's even more depressing than that when you consider that half of US households have 2 income earners. Early in the 20th century, the average home price was only around 2 times the average salary, and the vast majority of those households were single earner households. Times have really changed. Here's another fact to consider. According to Pew Research, over 52% of young adults aged 18 to 29 live with their parents. Those are the largest figures since the Great Depression. Now, tell me, when is it that most people buy their first home? Well, it's in their 20s. That just isn't true anymore. Young adults simply cannot afford it. So there is demand and a need for housing, but because of high prices and high interest rates, we're in a time where the actual demand for housing is artificially low. It isn't that people don't want to buy homes, it's that they can't. As a result, the inventory for new homes on the market is really low. Existing home sales are down, and new home building permits are also dropping. All of that is to say that there is huge pent-up demand for housing, and as soon as rates start to drop in a couple years, we will see the hottest housing market in a generation, and we simply are not building enough homes. Here's another problem, and the real reason why home prices are not coming down anytime soon. It isn't because of greed, though people like to say that. It has to do more with the cost of everything else. In the past year, the cost of glass has gone up by 8.2%. The cost of insulation materials has gone up by 16%. The cost of plastic construction products has gone up by 27%. The cost of concrete has gone up by 13.5%. The cost of sheetrock has gone up by nearly 19%. Also, while softwood lumber prices have decreased significantly, the price of OSB has not fallen as much or as quickly. Cabinet grade plywood has also gone up due to the fact that a lot of cabinet grade plywood came from Russian trees. And so with the war in Ukraine and trade embargoes, cabinet makers have had to find substitutes. And that has increased the cost across the board, so to speak, for all of those substitutes. So while the decreases in softwood lumber prices are definitely welcome, it isn't enough to make up for the increased price of all of those other components. There is one other huge thing to mention, and that is the increase in labor costs. Inflation has hit everyone, including construction workers. And because there's a shortage of construction workers, they have to be paid more or else they'll leave and work for a company that'll pay them fairly. That goes for unskilled labor as well as skilled labor. The problem, though, is actually even more acute and serious for skilled laborers. We have an extreme shortage of electricians, plumbers, carpenters, pipe fitters, and the like. Now, there's a lot of reasons for it, but the most concerning statistic is actually the average age of a plumber, electrician, or carpenter, and that is 42. Now that may not seem very old, but you have to consider that those jobs are physically demanding. And there are times when people in those jobs have to retire and do other work because of the toll that it takes on the body. The fact of the matter is that people are going to be aging out of the skilled trades in the next decade, and not enough young people are joining. That's a recipe for disaster, especially when we know that there's going to be a huge demand for construction labor in the next few years. And what does that all mean? Higher costs. So I have to apologize for this video. My videos are generally more upbeat and positive than this one, but these are things that have to be said. While there may be a short-term drop or correction in housing prices due to high interest rates and that lower demand, that is not going to last. And unless we build more homes, have more people join the trades, and get inflation under control, we're all in for a world of hurt. I hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I am working on a video right now all about the crisis in the skilled trades, how we got in this mess, and how we may be able to get out of it. So be sure to hit that bell so that you can get notified in the future when I post new videos. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.